violence escalated. In November 2023, a hit team went to the wrong address in Ontario, killing 3 innocent people. In April 2024, a trafficker was executed in Niagara Falls. As paranoia spread, wedding outsourced violence to contract killers in Mexico and Colombia. Disposable, anonymous, efficient. Then came the photograph. A protected witness sitting in public, posted online with only a timestamp and location. Days later, he was dead in Medellin. By March 2025, the FBI placed Ryan James' wedding on its 10 most wanted list. He was no longer classified as a trafficker, but as a cartel leader who had built a system capable of killing without direct orders. What made Wedding so dangerous was not just his violence, but his design. He eliminated trust by eliminating dependency. His network functioned like a distributed server. Arrests did not stop it. Seizures did not cripple it. Even when dozens of associates were arrested and assets frozen, the system continued to operate. Law enforcement eventually changed strategy. Instead of dismantling the network, they targeted the people closest to him. Under pressure, some broke. They confirmed what investigators feared: Wedding orchestrated murders from a distance. Every major killing traced back to his system. Today, his whereabouts remain unknown. Some believe he is in South America. Others think he is in Europe or still in North America, hiding in plain sight. What is certain is this: Ryan Wedding did not stumble into organized crime. He engineered his rise with the same precision he once used on an Olympic slope. He did not just sell drugs. He built a machine that killed without ever pulling a trigger, and somewhere that machine is still running. Subscribe to True Crime Exposure for more real stories, where ambition, power, and greed collide inside the world's darkest criminal networks.
In New Zealand, Naufahu quickly became the president of the Comancheros Motorcycle Club. Unlike many deportees who struggled to adapt, he understood something critical. New Zealand was not a punishment. It was an opportunity. The local criminal landscape was dominated by traditional gangs like the Mongrel Mob and Black Power. But Naufahu saw space for a more sophisticated, internationally connected organization. The Comancheros brought something entirely new: global drug connections, advanced money laundering methods, and direct access to Mexican cartel supply lines flooding the Pacific with methamphetamine and cocaine. By 2018, the New Zealand chapter of the Comancheros was formally established. This was not just a motorcycle club opening a local chapter. It was the creation of a New Zealand cell of an international criminal organization. And police were watching. Chapter 2: Building the Empire. By 2019, the Comancheros had become a major force in New Zealand's drug trade. Unlike traditional gangs that relied on street-level intimidation, the Comancheros operated with a corporate mindset. That year, police launched Operation Nova, raiding gang properties and seizing more than $3.7 million in assets, including luxury vehicles and motorbikes. The raids exposed the true scale of the operation. This was not small-time dealing. It was organized crime involving international supply chains, structured money laundering, and millions of dollars in circulation. Even more alarming was how the profits were being used. Police alleged the Comancheros were funding military-style training for selected members, bringing in an overseas trainer to prepare them for armed conflict. This was no longer about controlling territory. It was about creating a paramilitary organization capable of confronting the state itself. Investigators uncovered a commission system where leadership allegedly collected $5,000 per kilogram of drugs sold by members. Every transaction fed the organization's war chest, funding expansion, weapons, and training. But the very complexity that made the Comancheros powerful also made them vulnerable. Each transaction created a trail. Each expansion created evidence, and police were quietly building cases. Chapter 3. Expansion and collapse. Success in Auckland encouraged further expansion. By 2024, the Comancheros had established chapters across New Zealand, with Christchurch emerging as a major hub. An 8-month investigation, known as Operation Avon, revealed a highly organized drug pipeline moving between Auckland and Christchurch every few weeks. Police estimated that up to $15 million worth of drugs were transported between the North and South Islands. During the investigation, authorities alleged the group supplied more than 60 kilograms of Class A drugs. 4 kilograms of methamphetamine were reportedly moved every fortnight, with a street value exceeding $1.4 million each time. On August 29, 2024, the operation reached its climax. 18 men aged between 18 and 55 were arrested across Auckland and Christchurch. Every patched member of the Christchurch chapter was taken into custody. It was a complete decapitation. Police seized 5 kilograms of Class A drugs, 11 firearms, ammunition, approximately $250,000 in cash, multiple vehicles, and restrained nearly $2 million in assets, including property. The empire was collapsing. Chapter 4. International reach. As New Zealand police dismantled the domestic operation, Australian authorities uncovered links that exposed the Comancheros' broader international footprint. On November 30, 2024, in Queensland, Australian Federal Police arrested a senior Comancheros figure identified as the vice president of the Brisbane chapter. The message was clear. This was not a local gang problem. It was a transnational criminal organization, and its leadership was falling one by one. By April 2025, only one senior figure remained free in New Zealand, and when police finally knocked on his door in East Auckland, the war was already over. The arrest formed part of Australia's largest cocaine seizure in history. 2.34 tons of cocaine with an estimated street value of $760 million. The operation, codenamed Operation Tyrannor, exposed the Comancheros' deep connections to South American drug cartels and their involvement in one of the most sophisticated drug importation schemes ever uncovered. Authorities allege the group attempted to smuggle the cocaine into Queensland by sea. Australian Federal Police Commander Stephen Jay confirmed investigators had been tracking a vessel believed to have been dispatched to collect the drugs from a mothership stationed in international waters hundreds of kilometers off the Queensland coast. This operation marked a turning point. It demonstrated the Comancheros' transformation from a traditional outlaw motorcycle club into a major player in global drug trafficking. They were no longer simply purchasing drugs from cartels. They were partners in complex, transcontinental, maritime smuggling operations. As the vessel made its return journey toward the Queensland coast, it suffered mechanical failures and broke down, triggering a coordinated police response. That mechanical failure was more than bad luck. It was the moment when years of surveillance, intelligence gathering, and international cooperation finally paid off. Every individual involved was charged with conspiracy to import 2.34 tons of cocaine into Australia. The charges represented the largest drug importation conspiracy in Australian history and revealed the Comancheros' central role in supplying drugs to both Australian and New Zealand markets. But the Australian arrests were only one piece of a much larger investigation. Back in New Zealand, police were steadily building cases against the remaining Comancheros leadership, including the most elusive figure of all, the national vice president, who had managed to avoid arrest while his organization collapsed around him. Chapter 5. The net closes. By early 2025, the situation for the remaining free Comancheros leaders had become desperate. Police Commissioner Andrew Coster confirmed that a total of 137 charges had been laid against gang members and associates. Those charged included 17 office holders, 10 patched members, and 14 prospects. Nearly every member of the organization was either in custody, facing charges, or under active investigation. The criminal empire built by Paselika Naufahu was being dismantled piece by law enforcement agencies that had learned to operate seamlessly across international borders. Yet one man remained free, and his freedom represented a continuing threat to the success of the entire operation. The national vice president, a 36-year-old man, had managed to stay one step ahead of police while fellow leaders were arrested. Investigators were quietly assembling cases linking him to multiple drug importation schemes, including a methamphetamine shipment through the port of Tauranga in December 2024, and several cocaine importations that had flooded New Zealand with millions of dollars worth of drugs. The port of Tauranga had become a focal point of the investigation. Since 2020, Customs had seized more than 5,167 kilograms of cocaine and 6,241 kilograms of methamphetamine at New Zealand's borders. These figures highlighted Tauranga as a critical entry point for drugs destined for domestic markets. Intelligence suggested the Comancheros were heavily involved in many of the importation attempts disrupted at the port. But dismantling sophisticated criminal networks requires more than seizures alone. It demands evidence of conspiracy, leadership, and organization, evidence that can take years to build. New Zealand police remained patient and methodical, determined that when they moved against the final free Comancheros leader, their case would be airtight. The investigation was nearing its climax. The man who believed he had escaped the fate of his fellow Comancheros was about to discover that, in the modern world of international law enforcement cooperation, there is nowhere to hide. Over one weekend, authorities alleged a transnational organized crime syndicate attempted to import 2.34 tons of cocaine into Australia. 11 men and 2 juveniles were arrested in a joint operation involving the Australian Federal Police and the Queensland Police Service. Among those arrested was the alleged vice president of the Comancheros Brisbane chapter. April 8, 2025. Howick, Auckland. The quiet East Auckland suburb that had become home to the last free Comancheros leader was about to witness his downfall. The gang's national vice president was arrested in Howick and charged in connection with the importation of methamphetamine at the port of Tauranga in December, as well as cocaine importations earlier in the year. The arrest marked the conclusion of a years-long investigation linking him to multiple international drug trafficking operations. This was not the capture of a street-level dealer. It was the arrest of a senior organized crime figure tied to multi-million-dollar drug networks spanning continents. Police Assistant Commissioner Paul Basham stated it would be alleged the man played a significant role in working with transnational organized criminal groups to facilitate these importations. The wording was deliberate and damning. Transnational organized criminal groups meant cartel-level connections. Significant role meant leadership. This was not just another gang member. This was a central figure in international drug trafficking operations. With his arrest, every member of the Comancheros' senior leadership was now facing serious charges. Police described the moment as a major milestone, representing years of relentless investigative work to dismantle and hold the organization accountable. The 36-year-old appeared in Auckland District Court, charged with importing methamphetamine, involvement in cocaine importation, and participation in an organized criminal group. As he sat in custody awaiting trial, the full scope of the investigation became clear. This operation represented the most significant blow to the Comancheros since Operation Nova. Paselika Naufahu, the architect of the Comancheros' New Zealand expansion, remained behind bars with a statutory release date of July 2028. The parole board had twice denied early release, citing ongoing concerns that he posed too great a risk to the community. Despite this, Naufahu continued to deny involvement in drug trafficking and confirmed his intention to remain affiliated with the gang, claiming he would comply with any conditions imposed by the parole board. His refusal to sever ties with the organization that destroyed his life exemplified the distorted loyalty of the outlaw motorcycle world. Parole Board Chair Sir Ron Young noted that Naufahu's responsibilities as a father conflicted sharply with his significant involvement in money laundering and drug conspiracy. Today, the Comancheros exist in New Zealand only as a memory and a warning. Their president remains imprisoned. Their leadership is scattered across multiple countries, facing serious charges. Their operations have been dismantled entirely. The investigation demonstrated how quickly sophisticated criminal organizations can establish themselves in new territories. But it also proved the power of sustained, coordinated law enforcement when properly resourced and supported. From the moment the Comancheros entered New Zealand, they made it clear they viewed themselves as the dominant gang in the country. That ambition was initially their strength, but it ultimately became their downfall. The final arrest in Howick marked the end of an era. The age of untouchable international motorcycle gangs operating with impunity in New Zealand was over. The fall of the Comancheros stands as a warning to any criminal organization that believes borders offer protection from justice. In an era of global cooperation and advanced intelligence sharing, no operation is too complex to unravel. The 36-year-old man, who believed he was the last free rider, learned what his imprisoned associates already knew. Every criminal empire ends the same way. Handcuffs, courtrooms, prison cells. Their empire is finished, their brotherhood is broken, and their legacy serves as a cautionary tale about the cost of choosing crime over community.